We're here with the Roys. And tell us about your Nashville experience. You started off in Massachusetts. When did you know it was time to come to Nashville? How did you prepare to move to Nashville?
Well, for us, we'd been playing a lot of the venues in that area, and did just did a couple of things for the local radio station WKLB, and the DJs would tell us that that we were really good, and we always wanted to do this. We did this back in the '90s, and just felt that it wasn't going to happen for us, and went home and started doing some things for them, and then started to make a few doors opened, and got a phone call out of the blue from a guy in Nashville, and wanted us to meet with him, and we met with him, and it just kept that ball rolling, and it was always the direction we wanted to be was Nashville. That was, when I was 8 years old and started singing, it was like I didn't know what Nashville was. I just knew
absolutely
that
that
everybody we listened to was from there, and we needed to be there. So we finally just decided to kind of uproot and pack the U-Haul and came to town and tried to take the town by storm as much as we could.
Let's talk about working with your hometown radio station. Did you go about that?
Well, you could probably tell that.
We had a friend that was in a band, and they were putting a benefit together for Katrina that happened 3 or 4 years ago, and said, you guys should, come and join us and help us raise funds for this. And we're like, absolutely. And the radio station was there and heard us, and they said, man, we've got other things that we do around in this area. We'd love for you guys to be involved, and you start that relationship, which is always a good thing. And they were always great supporters of the Roys, and that's kind of how we got our foot in the door.
When you first arrived in Nashville, what thoughts were you having? Fears, joy? What do I do next?
Excitement.
Yeah.
Excitement, and the in the dark kind of thing, of not knowing where to turn and where to play our music, where not to play our music, that kind of thing, like everybody else goes through. But it was really excitement. I mean, I was excited, like I couldn't wait to unpack the U-Haul, get settled, and then hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
So. What were a couple of the first things you did upon arriving in Nashville?
Well, having been here before, we had some old friends here, writers and musicians and stuff, so we rekindled those relationships and got into writing, and had a friend of ours that was working with a gentleman that had a studio, and he said, you need to meet with him about maybe cutting some sides on you, and we cut a record with him, and really I went out quite a bit and networked as far as where to play, because I didn't want to just play our music anywhere that wasn't going to benefit us. I wanted to make sure that wherever we played was going to be a good benefit, and ran into places like the Commodore and the Listening Room and those Hotel Indigo, and the places that, I figured if I walked in there and saw Jeffrey Steele on stage, it was pretty much a sure bet that it was a good place to play. So,
and for me, it was going back to the Opry and watching a show. I love the Opry. I mean, one of my lifelong goals is to sing the Grand Ole Opry. And we haven't made it yet there, but hopefully before I leave this earth, I'll get to sing the Opry. So that was really cool to go back there and see where all this country music came from and how it started, and hopefully we can carry that torch forward for all the people that laid the groundwork for us.
As hard as you two work, I know that dream will come true.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
You get here and you take action.
Yeah, you need to. You really need to get out there and network and get to know people.
How did you build your team? How did you know who was good and who wasn't good for you to be with?
Well, for us, we've always relied on our gut feeling. If we sit with somebody and we feel like outside of business we could hang with those people and go have dinner and go see a movie or something, a friendship. If we feel like they could be friends outside of work, that's kind of how we got to that next level of going, okay, well now let's see what they've done. And because sometimes the resume, you can hire people that have a huge resume that don't mean, and you can hire someone that goes, well, I worked 3 years at a label and I worked under so-and-so, and a lot of times they're the ones that did all the day-to-day work, that really know how to use the phone and how to really get to those people. And
absolutely,
we just built people around us that we felt were going to help us out, and they did. I mean, they really...
We've been very fortunate.
Yep.
Let's talk about co-writing. You've written with some hit writers in the co-writing sessions and so forth. How did you get those first couple write-ups with the hit writers?
Well, For me, the very first time I ever wrote with Steve Dean and Brian White, that came about, they co-wrote Watching You, and we were going to the ACMs and ran into Brian White at the airport. And he was like, I'm a fan of you guys' music. And we were like, wow, okay. Here's a hit songwriter
That's
who knows who we are.
Really? You know who we are?
And then in the night of the ACMs, this was 2 years ago, we took a picture with Brian and Karen and Steve Dean and his wife. And Steve, I think, was one that said, when we get back to Nashville, we need to write. And I thought, man, I'm not going to let them forget that. So I got in the room with them a couple times and wrote, and then brought her in on one of the writes. And it just clicked. I mean, if anybody that's around those guys know that they're just down-to-earth guys and real nice guys. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's not,
genuine people that love what they do. And
it kind of cracks me up how Steve can be in a room and someone go, "You're Steve Dean, man. You wrote, Southern Star for Alabama," and he gets real kind of like, "Oh man," and he's kind of like doesn't know what to say, and I'm like, "Man, you're a huge hit songwriter." So
absolutely, we've been very fortunate.
Yeah, and then a lot of it was just doing a round, and somebody walks up and goes, "Hey, I'm so and so, and we need to write," and then you look, and they've written 16 number ones or whatever, and so it's just been networking. We've been very fortunate, very blessed that that people in this town have embraced us and wanted to work with us.
With networking, what networking tips would you tell someone that just moved to town? What to do and what not to do?
Well, the biggest networking thing is go out and be seen and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Business cards, talk to people. I went to plenty of rounds and saw big hit songwriters, and if you walk up to them, they don't want to talk to you. But most of them, 99.9% of the people in this town will talk to you, and they're not gonna say let's write, but you're gonna get to know those people, and you're gonna meet other writers that are there watching those people, and I tell people all the time, don't write with somebody just because they're a name. Write with anybody that wants to write with you, because you might write 10 times and 9 of them might not work, but that one time it might start a friendship that just takes you to a different place. And the internet, MySpace and Facebook and Twitter, and just get on that stuff and network, and go to the NSI luncheons, and go to those things, and just be seen, and just do some rounds and get out there and play. And at the end of the day, if people see you enough, we've had one guy tell us, he said, "Man, I see you guys everywhere." And I said, "Well, I guess we're doing our job then," because in this business it's about being seen and being heard. So
we have a section called Gurming 101. Talk about gurming. Have you seen people gurm in town? What's gurming mean to you, man?
I mean,
desperation, I think.
Yeah,
I see.
Sometimes, like some people would take it, maybe not like on a purposeful way, but kind of like push themselves on you like really hard, and you're like, you might feel a little uncomfortable, and they're probably not meaning it that way, but that's how it comes across. And you just have to be, respectful and say, look, you're too close.
You're in my space.
But it's not been bad.
It hasn't been bad. But for me, like if I go to a round and if Bob DePiero's there and I want to go talk to Bob and he's talking to somebody, I'm not going to just walk in there and go, "Hey man, I'm going to wait and hopefully he's going to know that I want to talk to him, and he's going to look over and I'm going to introduce myself to him and talk to him a little bit and just tell him I think the minute you walk up to those guys with a business card and say, "Hey, I'm our new writer in town, let's write," that's not how it works. It'd be great if it did and you could just walk up to anybody and say...
It's more of a, for writing, for me anyways, it's a relationship thing. You have to feel comfortable with the people that you're with because you're opening up your heart and soul. So if you don't have that relationship, it's kind of hard to, you don't want to maybe put yourself out there because you don't know that person or you're not feeling comfortable. So for me, as far as a writing prospect, it's a real personal relationship thing. Like, I can say something stupid and they're not going to laugh at me. They're going to say, "Oh, well, how about this?" It makes me think of, and that's cool. But with some people, you might not have that relationship. So, that's how I feel about it.
And the other thing, too, is for me, and I don't mean to get off the gurming thing, but you asked earlier about advice. The other thing, too, is not spreading yourself too thin. I got a lot of buddies that write, and they go, "Man, I'm writing with 40 people." I'm like, "Well, you're writing like, 4 times a year with one person. I mean, it's just not, you just can't.
Yeah.
I find those writers that I really connect with, and we try to write on a regular basis. And I do write with other artists or other people or whatever, but you can get spread out really thin. I got people like, oh man, I moved here and I'm writing twice a day, 6 days a week, and I'm like, and you're going to be burnt out in 6 months.
Yeah. Because it's also a creative thing. You have to let that creative thing fester, and then give it time to come to the table. That's how, for me, anyways.
Yeah.
I want to say too, because you're the first person who you said something that I've never heard said in some of these questions. But co-writing, is a trust thing.
It is.
Absolutely.
Can you just talk on that a little bit so we can capture
Absolutely.
that?
I mean, yeah, co-writing, I think it is a trust thing, because if, for me, if I'm not as confident as, say, my brother here in a writing session, and I don't really know these people, I might not want to put some lines out there thinking, oh man, are they going to, make fun of me and go home and go, oh man, she's terrible. So it is really a trust thing, and the more you hang out with these people and you go to dinner and you kind of get to know them more, you go, oh, okay, now he kind of feels like a family member. So if I do say something that doesn't fit, it might, spark something in him and say, oh, that makes, reminds me of this, or how about this, or, so it might take it a whole different
It's a play on
path,
words.
But
you say something and it might, in your head, might sound really cool. When it comes out, it might not be quite so cool. But the play on words, that's a great thing about co-writing. If you didn't need, if you were the greatest writer in the world, you would need co-writer. And the way I look at it is, there's great songs that have been written alone, and that's great. And I've written songs alone. She's got a great song on this new album that she wrote alone. That's great. My thing about the co-writing is, especially when I say, man, this happened to a family member of mine, and I really want to talk about this. And I'm telling somebody my family laundry about an uncle who, might have had demons and, things that, and I want to incorporate into a song, or, and you're entrusting those people to say, you know what, I haven't been there, but I want to go there with you, and I want to really, write this. And you find those ones that, I love the writers that you get in a room and they don't write a verse and a chorus, stop and go, okay, is this commercial? Because those are the ones that I tend to go, man, we probably need to end it right now. I love the ones that I write with that will go, man, no one in their right mind will ever cut this, but it's so cool, let's write it. Because those are the ones that typically you find a lot of people going, man, that is such a cool song, and they end up getting cut. And it's just like, I've got one of my best friends that I write with is like that. He hates the word commercial. He's like, man, I'm in the music business. I'm not in commercial.
Yeah.
And I love writing like that, so.
As a brother and sister, and you spend all this time together, have you figured out how to separate music from personal? Can you turn it off and just be brother and sister, and let's talk about something besides music?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you do that?
I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's the music business, and it is a business. It's like owning a car dealership or an accounting firm or whatever it is that everybody does for a living. This is how we make our living, and we are the team, so we have to get along.
And in saying that, as an act, right? Okay, we can both decide to retire, and we're no longer an act. We'll always be brother or sister. We'll always be family.
That first and foremost, he's always going to be my brother from, till the end of time. So he has to put up with me. He has no choice.
She thinks that. Let her think it. She's wrong.
You're just using her because she's pretty and she sings well. Is that what you're saying here?
That's right. She's good with money. I'm not. Yeah. So if a dollar comes in, I give it to her, and I know it's safe.
There you go.
That's it. Anything else?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk as far as an artistry, because that whole side of it's obviously different than the songwriter, but it all as a package. What do you guys do as far as branding and marketing? The kind of work that really goes in. Part of for our viewership, we want them to understand. There's a lot that goes to it. It's not just hey, pull out your guitar.
Oh, that's the fun part.
So we want to talk about a little bit of that.
Well, and
the business and pulling those pieces.
Yeah, and you mentioned the branding and that's one thing is, and I can't imagine at the level of Carrie Underwood or whatever, but there's companies that approach you about endorsing their products, and if we don't use them, we won't endorse them. I mean, I mean, for $10 million maybe, but no, I mean, like literally, literally like when it came to guitars or instruments or things that we said, okay, the first thing we need to go after are things that we know we need. We need instruments, we need strings, we need that kind of thing, and we only want to brand ourselves with products that we actually use. And you're right, as far as an act, the Roy's is a brand. It's no different if it's, Canon or Starbucks or whatever. We're a brand. And what we try to do is we make sure that we don't get lost in a big shuffle in the sense that, like, I don't want to be just like another act that tried to make it. I want to be that act that made it. And to do that, I want to surround myself where the Roy's are going to best benefit. And our music is very positive, and we're brother sister, and we believe in God, and so I'm not going to go, sponsor or brand myself with, a marijuana plant. I'm going to make sure that I brand myself with it fits us who we are, and I find a lot of people that literally you can see that change night from day. You know them, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, I got endorsed by so and so, and to do this, I got to get 10 earrings and tattoos and to fit, and I go, okay, is that really you?
I mean, at the end of the day, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, and I look at it as, he has 2 young children, and I look at it as they're going to look up to us. I mean, they're following in our footsteps. I mean, our parents taught us certain values, and now if we're taking our music out to the public, and we can go worldwide with this, I mean, with the internet and all kinds of stuff. If I'm going to influence somebody's life, I hope it's in a positive way. So we always try to, sing about positive things or do things that we're not going to regret later on and go, what were we thinking? Because even at a level that we are, we don't think that we're making an impression, but, we are, because people are coming up to us saying, man, that song that you did really touched me. So we just try to be conscious about what we're doing and hopefully, touch them in the right way and inspire them in the right way.
And she said earlier that, it's a business, and it is. And the way I look at it is, if I was Microsoft, what would be the guidelines as an employee of Microsoft that I would be held to? I couldn't go to work high and drunk, and,
Absolutely.
so what we look at is, as when hopefully something breaks one day and a major corporation comes in and says, okay, we want you to be our spokesperson, like they do for Chesney or Tim McGraw or whoever. And I don't want them to go, man, we just did a research in your past. And, at one point you were totally this, and now you want to go here because we're offering you this. So what we want to do is
Absolutely.
we want to make sure that we stay true to ourselves. The songs that we sing are us. We live and breathe these songs. And there's a song on this new album that she brought, the idea, called Everything I Ever Wanted to Be, and it started to be about, she said, looking at a picture of mom, I always wanted to be mom growing up. And she goes, the funny thing is, I'm a grown woman and I still want to be mom,
Yeah.
So we wrote this song, and we kind of took a little twist on it. I won't give the song away, but we took a little bit of twist where it's still us, but it the way we wrote it, it's going to touch a much bigger audience, but it's still us. And that's the one thing that people always say. They'll say Grandpa's Barn, which was our biggest song. They'll say, so explain that. And I'll say, well, okay, the first half of the song is me. I'm the one that got caught smoking. I'm the one that, So the second half is my co-writer. So, it's definitely, we just try to be real with what we do, because, look, at the end of the day, country fans can tell phony a mile away.
Absolutely. You just got to be true to yourself and hope, they like you.
That's great. Yeah, I agree with that. You're going to have to sing that song. If it's a hit, you got to sing it the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And that's the thing
Absolutely.
that's the thing too. It's like, I just call it selling out. I mean, when somebody comes in town and just does whatever everybody else is doing so they can be a superstar. And my thing at the end of the day, I'd rather play a smaller venue and do a 3-hour show of songs that I absolutely love and can't wait to sing them again, than do a 45-minute set and make $500,000 and walk away and go, God, I hope I never have to sing those songs again. We
Absolutely.
every night, it's like, we'll go, okay, they're only giving us 45 minutes tonight. We're like, Like, what are we going to sing? Because we want to sing everything that we have. You know, we don't want to take
Absolutely,
anything
we love
out.
them all. So that's a cool problem to have.
Great. Hey, thanks very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
We'll
so
s-
much.
And you're everywhere, so we'll see you all over town.
Oh, yeah,
Well-
therosecountry.com.
That's
We're
it.
here. We're here and there and everywhere.